Good evening. Tonight we're showing you a film that's generally regarded as one of the great masterpieces of world cinema, Satyajit Ray's Panchali, or The Song of the Road. It was made in 1955 in India, but 30 years haven't dimmed its power to move us. In a way, it's only increased it, since we seem to have forgotten the kind of simplicity that is its hallmark, but is yet so very difficult to achieve. Amazingly, it's his first film. Panchali tells the story of a boy born into a poor Brahmin family in a Bengali village. The family live from hand to mouth. The father finds work where he can, leaving the others to cope with the routines and burdens of everyday life. Two subsequent films in what came to be known as the Apu trilogy follow the boy's later life. It made Ray famous in the West because, though quintessentially Indian and thus quite strange to us, it also deals with human fundamentals that undercut all cultural distinctions. But it has to be said that in the time of its making, Panchali was strange to Indians too. In fact, it was almost never made at all. It marked a complete break from the world of make-believe and melodrama that was, and still is, the staple diet of Indian filmmaking. And for a long time, nobody could be found to back this young first-time director from Calcutta, whose regular job wasn't in the movie business at all, but in commercial advertising. No Bengali producer would touch such an unromantic story. So he cashed his personal insurance policies and started shooting. And when money ran out, he sold books, records, and his wife's jewelry. He'd shot about a third of the story when he had to give up, and for a year the project got no further. Then someone told Ray to go and see the chief minister of West Bengal, who knew the book on which Panchali was based, and immediately gave him government funds to complete it. Even then, the film was not released for several months, before being reluctantly accorded a 6-week booking. Actually, it ran for 13 weeks, and during that time recouped all the chief minister's money, much to his relief. Later, it was proudly sent off to the Cannes Film Festival, where it won a prize as the best human document, despite the fact that more than one leading critic walked out of it, thinking the film too artificial and slow. The pace is certainly different from Hollywood standards, but though the actors are not real villagers, there's a sense of truth about their performances that seems now to be completely natural, like those of the players in De Sica's Bicycle Thieves, a film which the young Ray had much admired. In fact, Panchali, though it came like a bolt from the blue to most Europeans, was really an Indian version of Italian neorealism. It had a foot in both Eastern and Western camps, since Ray was a man steeped in his own culture and that of both Europe and America too. He'd not only studied films in Britain as well as India, but also literature, poetry, art and music. He's often been called India's Renaissance man, a writer, artist and musician, as well as a filmmaker. And even with this first film, his wide sympathies were evident and his understanding of the medium astonishing. Panchali has the purity and grace and human sympathy of a really great film, one concerned with telling the truth about a tiny microcosm of the world in a way which illustrates something much larger in scale and is relevant to all of us. But let me end with Ray's own words. They were spoken about his films in general, but are particularly applicable to Panchali. Somehow, he said, I feel that an ordinary person whom you might meet in the street is a much more challenging subject to make a film about than someone heroic, either good or bad. It's the half-shades, the hardly audible notes that I want to capture and explore. You can call these the small things in life if you like, but the tiny dewdrop on a little blade of grass is as significant as the biggest mountain. Look at it and you'll find it reflects the whole universe around you. Ray's Panchali.